Hello, I'm Robert, voluntary fact checker and helping you if you're scared of many things. And this is about the story about Poland shooting Russian drones out of its skies for the first time. And Poland has every right to do that. It's if you've got a war going on next door to your country and some drones go flying out of that war into your country, of course you can shoot them down in order to protect your civilians. And this is not done as a competent, this is just done under the rights that Poland has to control its own skies. And it's the same even if Russia was to send anything, even in peacetime, and it went flying through the Polish skies, then Poland could shoot it down if it didn't have a flight path. And especially if it's too small to have humans on board, then it's just a normal automatic thing would be to just shoot it down. And there's nothing that Russia would have to complain about because it hadn't filed a flight plan and it didn't have permission. So that is just normal. And it makes no difference if there's a war going on or not. And even if, and this would not make, and if for some reason in peacetime Russia was to deliberately send 100 drones flying low over Poland, maybe for spying or something, and Poland shot them all down, this would not put Poland at war with Russia. It would just be Poland protecting its own airspace, which has every right to do. And it's the same if there's a war going on, it makes no difference. This does not give Poland any obligation and any reason to attack Russia. And there's no reason, even if Russia sends hundreds of these drones into Poland and Poland shoots down every single one, there's no obligation, and indeed it would never make any sense for Poland to attack Russia. Poland's objective is to protect its citizens, and shooting down the drones does do that. Attacking Russia would have the opposite effect of putting them in danger. So all it'll do is it'll just keep shooting these drones out of the skies. And Zelensky is coordinating with Poland to help it to do that. And it's coordinating with all the neighbours. So it's coordinating with Lithuania, for instance, and with Romania and all its neighbours around. It's coordinating to help them to shoot drones out. So the main discussions, so I've been keeping up with this every night, every day, that I look at numerous sources, like I think I read something like about 40 pages today about the Russian drones, and news stories today about it, and they were all mostly about Russian drones, some other things as well, and they were all talking about how to strengthen the air defences so they can shoot them down. And so that's why I say when I did my latest check with specialist sources tonight. And so what I do is I have these some of my main websites. Well, I'll bring it up. I'll show you my tab. So these are the ones that I look at. I look at all those ones, and down to there. Those are the ones that I look at. I just click on all those websites. Yeah, there they are. That's all of them. Main ones. So this is the TASS for that gives you the Russian perspective. This is X, where I find most of the stuff, including I follow lots of experts there, and it's all supplementary. That's Kiev Independent because it's very up to date on whatever's happening in Ukraine. This is a very technical military website. It's very useful about Ukraine more. Zelensky speeches, all sorts of things, BBC, the Associated Press, and so on. So every day I check all those sources a couple of times a day, and I look at and I bring up a whole series of tabs of all the articles that I find from there. And for instance, this morning I think it was about 40 pages of different stories that I read in order to be reasonably up to date to what's happening. And so it's based on that I can tell you that there's nothing there about anyone wanting to suggesting that anyone should attack Russia with these drones. It would make no sense whatsoever. All the discussion is about how to shoot them down, and how to shoot them down in the lowest cost way possible, because at the moment they're shooting down a $10,000 drone with missiles that cost between $200,000 and over $1 million to shoot down each drone. So that's okay when you've just got a few to shoot down, but it's totally, that's bonkers if you're going to have to shoot down 100 of them and you're going to spend, millions of dollars to shoot down drones that cost a total of just $1 million for all of them put together. So that's what the main discussion is about. And Zelensky is helping them. He says he's going to help them because Ukraine has developed low-cost ways to shoot down these drones. So that's what the discussion is about. So now let's explain a little bit more about the background. This is how we know that the two lines of evidence that show that they were actually, Russia did it deliberately. Well, there's three really. There's the very large number of drones that all went flying deep into Poland. 19, I think, or was it 20? I'm not sure. 19 drones, I think, that went deep into Poland, and that is far more than has ever happened accidentally. When it's just quite often for 1, 2, maybe 3 drones or more sometimes go flying out of the wall just by accident. There's a recent one from Ukraine that flew all the way to Estonia, and obviously Ukraine wasn't targeting Estonia. So this is something that happens, but the sheer number made it implausible. Then they also discovered, so most of them are these decoy drones. So this is the one with the big explosive, and if you saw the photograph of a house that had its roof blown off, just all the tiles or whatever it is blown off, and just leaving them after just the timbers, then that was the German drone, which is the one that keeps hitting houses and apartments and buildings in Ukraine, and it quite often kills people. And that has a 50-kilogram warhead, which is quite hefty. But most of the ones that went into Poland, deep into Poland, then they were these Gerber decoys, and these cost only $10,000 each to make. They're just made out of plywood and ordinary plastic foam, nothing sophisticated. They're not meant to hide from radar. They're meant to be obvious in radar, but they can be a little bit smaller. So this small drone looks the same in radar as this much larger drone, and it's made of very cheap materials, and it'd be useless work. It couldn't carry a 50-kilogram warhead. And then visually it looks very similar. It's the same shape, and if you're looking at it, it's very hard to tell how far away a triangle object is that is flying in the sky. So that's why they work very well as decoys. But they sometimes have like a 1 kilogram or so, 2 kilogram explosive in the nose. They have the fuel tank in the back. They sometimes have reconnaissance instruments in the nose and nothing, and no explosive. But in any case, the aim of these drones is just to fly around through this airspace for as long as possible, and just try and get the Ukrainians to shoot at them. And they're not aimed at any target. Whereas these are programmed with a target, but then they quite often hit the wrong target. But they are actually aimed to try and hit some particular thing. So the drones that they found, many of the drones they found in Poland were the decoys. So they're not intended to harm anyone. And but Poland, of course, can't know when it's looking at its radar, and they look the same. So it has to assume that it's something dangerous, and that's why it has to shoot it down. And that's why it ends up spending at least $200,000 per drone to shoot it down. And if it uses more expensive missiles, then $1 million or more to shoot down a $10,000 drone. The Sidewinder is $200,000 to shoot down a $10,000 drone. And this is the evidence. There's two lines of evidence as I'm explaining. First of all, that the front part of it is that would normally be either reconnaissance instruments or this small explosive. It's been replaced by a fuel tank. And there'll be a little bit, some instruments as well, but mostly it's a fuel tank. And this shows that they were modified in order to fly very long distances, much further than if the target was Ukraine. So that shows that they planned, they must be designed to fly into Poland. There's nothing in Ukraine that is so far away that they need an extra fuel tank. And then the other line of evidence is that Zelensky himself says that it was deliberate. So the main way that such a large number could have ended up flying into Poland could have been because of electronic warfare. and the Ukrainians use electronic warfare to try and deflect things. Wait a minute, I'll put my glasses on it. To try and deflect things, and the so they put the glasses on they put the Ukrainians use electronic warfare and they spoof and they try and pretend that they tell this drone that's in a different place from where it really is, with GPS spoofing and various other techniques. And so the drone might conclude, the software on the drone might conclude that it's flying over Kiev, say, when actually it's flying over the Black Sea, or actually it's flying over Belarus or Poland. But Zelensky says that it's clear from the flight path it was deliberate, and of course he would know about any electronic warfare and whether it was succeeding or not, etc. So this proves that it's not electronic warfare. So we know, that's how we know that Poland did this. So here he is. He's talking about we need to work on a joint air defense system and create an effective air shield over Europe. So that's and Ukraine has long proposed that they do this, and they have concrete solutions. So Ukraine knows far better than anyone else in the world, other than Russia, about how to shoot down low-cost drones. Even with 3 years into the war, Ukraine's allies have hardly done anything on working on this. The main thing they've done is to give Ukraine the finance to work on it. They're not doing much yet working about shooting down the drones themselves. So Ukraine has the equipment that it's developed itself, which its allies don't have. It has the crew, and it knows how to do it, so it can train them, and it can actually provide them with. And he said he can offer all of this to them, and the this longer thing. We are interested with technology, crew training, and the necessary intelligence. So they've got the technology. Much of it actually developed with finance from its allies, but they have the technology the allies don't. Then they have the necessary intelligence, so they keep track of where the drones are as they fly over Ukraine, and they can train the allies so they can use the Ukrainian equipment to shoot down these drones. So that's the response. So I'll talk about other things in a second video, so just keep these videos short. So yes, so Russia is just claiming that its drones can't reach Poland, never hit targets in Poland. So I'll talk a little bit about how Russia's not going to do anything, and how its allies not going to do anything, and some misunderstandings that people have about Article 4 and Article 5 and so on. I'll do that in the second video. So I think keep these videos short. The basic thing that the allies are not doing anything. We're not going to attack Russia. Russia is not going to do anything because this is not harming Russia in any way to shoot down these drones that are going to be destroyed anyway. They're going to destroy themselves anyway, and all they're going to do is keep shooting down more and more drones. So that's the main message from this first video, and I'll go into some other things that people worry about in my second video.